Her friends exchanged awkward glances, their eyes darting around the table as the tension began to thicken in the room. It was palpable, like the air had suddenly grown heavier, weighed down by the unsaid words between us. I could feel the muscles in my jaw tighten, my fingers curling into fists against the cool surface of the table. It was like a storm was building, waiting for anyone, to say something to break the silence. Nora glanced at me nervously, her voice forced into a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. "Jerry, come on," she said, trying to smooth over the growing discomfort. "You know, they're just here to help out. We're all close friends," but I didn't care. The tight grip I had on my composure was slipping fast. Before she could finish, I cut her off sharply, the words spilling out of my mouth before I could stop them. "I don't care," I snapped, the edge in my voice making her flinch. "If you want to be with them so badly, go ahead. Marry them. Live happily ever after together, for all I care. I'm done with this. I'm done with being an afterthought." Nora's face fell, her smile fading as the weight of my words hit her. But it didn't matter. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't going to hold back. She needed to hear this, even if it tore us apart. Later, alone in my head, I rehearsed how I would explain it. "Hey, this is Jerry, and I've got a story for you all." I imagine myself saying, bitterness clinging to each word. Some of you might want to smack me, and I probably deserve it. But, well, here it is. The scene played over and over in my mind. Nora had seen the small, velvet box almost immediately when she came into the room. How could she not? I hadn't hidden it, not well, anyway. Her face lit up like a child who just spotted a pile of gifts under the Christmas tree. Her eyes widened, sparkling with the kind of excitement that once made my heart skip a beat. But now, it only made me feel tired. "Oh my God. Are you finally going to propose?" she asked, her voice rising with barely contained anticipation. I used to love that about her. How she could throw herself into a moment. How her emotions were always right there, easy to read. But now, I just felt exhausted by it all. I forced a smile, but it didn't reach my eyes. "Not right now," I said quietly, holding up a hand to stop her. "I've got something planned for tomorrow. It'll be a surprise." Her smile faltered, just for a split second, but she quickly covered it up, pretending everything was fine. "Oh, okay," she said, a bit more subdued now, but still clinging to that excitement. "Tomorrow, then." She said it like it was already decided, like nothing could possibly be wrong, as if she could see the finish line, and we were still headed toward it without a single detour in sight. Then she started talking about our recent vacation, her voice brightening again as she reminisced. "It was amazing, she gushed. "We had such a great time. It was really memorable." Her words hit me like a punch in the gut. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossing over my chest as I tried to process what she was saying. Memorable. That's what she called it. Memorable, huh? I echoed, my voice flat, almost hollow. "So you really enjoyed it?" She nodded eagerly, oblivious to the growing tension in my tone. "Yeah, I mean, come on, it's Hawaii. Who wouldn't love it? Hawaii." I could barely say the word without feeling a knot tighten in my chest. "Did you miss me at all?" I asked, my voice quieter now, careful. Testing. She glanced at me for a moment, then shrugged, as if it was no big deal. "Yeah, I mean, sure. But you left, right? So we just enjoyed the rest of the trip, just like that." She said it so easily, so casually, as if my leaving hadn't changed anything, as if the vacation had continued perfectly without me, without a second thought. The words stuck in my throat, choking me. She was already moving on, talking about engagement and wedding plans as if nothing had happened, like the vacation hadn't been the turning point, the moment when everything between us started to crack. I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Wait," I interrupted, holding up my hand to stop her from going on about the wedding. "Can we talk about the vacation first?" Her brow furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean? What's there to talk about?" I stared at her, incredulous. How could she not see it? Seriously? You don't think there's anything to talk about? I could feel the frustration boiling up inside me, threatening to spill over. She just blinked, completely oblivious. Jerry, what are you talking about? I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. Why did you invite your friends on our trip? You knew it was supposed to be just us. I planned that trip for months. It was our anniversary. She shrugged, that same indifferent shrug that had started to drive me crazy. They hadn't been to Hawaii before, and I thought it'd be fun if they came along. I mean, we still had a good time, didn't we? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She didn't get it at all. I told you that trip was supposed to be for us, I said, my voice tightening with every word. Why would you go behind my back and invite them? Again, that casual shrug. I didn't think it would be such a big deal. I stared at her, feeling my heart sink. Not a big deal. She really thought it wasn't a big deal. I had spent months planning every detail of that trip for us, and she had turned it into a group vacation, a girls' getaway, while I was left as the third wheel. Tomorrow, I finally said, my voice barely a whisper. Let's meet tomorrow, at the restaurant where we first met. We'll talk then. She smiled, completely unaware of what was coming, thinking we were still on the same page. But tomorrow, everything would change. She just didn't know it yet. Hi, I'm Nora, and I have my own story to share. She might say if she were telling her side. Jerry and I have been together for 5 years now. He's a good guy. Honestly. Sometimes maybe too good. She'd chuckle a little, not realizing how her words would sound to me. He's kind, sweet, and never really argues. He goes along with whatever I want, and some people might think that's great, right? But sometimes I wonder if he has his own strong opinions. He's always eager to please, and while it's easy for me, it can be frustrating too. But I guess it's nice in a way, having someone who doesn't push back. And she'd have no idea how much those words, her thoughts, were cutting into me like a blade. It was supposed to be a special moment, something we would both look back on and remember forever. I had planned everything down to the smallest detail, imagining the joy on Nora's face, the intimacy we would share, the lifelong memories we would make. But Nora, she flipped everything upside down the moment. She told me she'd invited her friends to join us. I was stunned, utterly blindsided. How could she do this? 3 of them, Jenny, Kathy, and Marcy, were suddenly part of what was supposed to be our trip, a trip to celebrate our anniversary. I could feel my heart sink as her words sank in. I couldn't believe it. This wasn't what I had planned. I was angry, but more than that, I was hurt. I tried to explain to her how much this trip meant to me, how special it was supposed to be, just the 2 of us. But she brushed me off like it didn't matter. They've never been to Hawaii, she said casually. You should understand. Understand? How was I supposed to understand that? I should have canceled the whole thing right then and there, but I didn't. Part of me, foolishly optimistic, thought that maybe, just maybe, we could still find some time for ourselves amidst all the chaos. I convinced myself that I could salvage it, that despite her friends tagging along, we'd still have a few moments together, just the 2 of us. Maybe I could still propose, and we'd laugh about this later, turning it into a quirky story to tell our future kids. I held on to that hope, even though deep down, something told me it wasn't going to turn out the way I'd envisioned. When we finally got there, it became painfully clear that my fears were justified. From the moment we arrived, the trip spiraled into a nightmare. Every time I tried to pull Nora aside, to get even a few minutes alone with her, she was off with her friends, laughing, snorkeling, lounging on the beach. I'd planned this romantic getaway within the trip, a little escape for just the 2 of us, hoping to recapture some of the magic I had been imagining for months. But she wasn't interested. She was more excited about snorkeling with Jenny or having drinks with Kathy and Marcy. The trip I had meticulously planned, the one I had been so excited about, had turned into a group vacation where I was the odd man out. I felt crestfallen. Here I was, trying my hardest to create special moments for the 2 of us, to make memories that would last a lifetime, but she didn't even seem to notice. She was having the time of her life, laughing and enjoying herself, while I was just there, an afterthought. I tried to put on a brave face, to act like it didn't bother me, but inside, I was falling apart. It hurt so much to watch her have fun, while I was left on the sidelines of what was supposed to be our trip. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to leave. I told Nora I was going home early. I couldn't stand being there any longer, feeling like I didn't matter, like I was invisible. When I told her, things got ugly. She and her friends ganged up on me, hurling insults my way. "You're such a jerk," they said. "What an A** hole. Why are you ruining everything?" They made me out to be the villain, like I was the one who had ruined the trip. But all I wanted was time with Nora, just the two of us. That was the whole point of the trip. Her friends weren't supposed to be there in the first place. But somehow, I was the bad guy. I left Hawaii feeling more alone than I ever had in my life. Nora, on the other hand, saw things completely differently. In her mind, I was just being moody. Jerry, me, was a great guy, she thought, always doing everything to make her happy, always putting her first. But sometimes, she felt I could be too much, too clingy, too involved. That's why she'd invited her friends. She wanted to have fun, to let loose and enjoy herself, and she figured I wouldn't mind. After all, I was paying for the trip, and she assumed I'd go along with it, like I always did. She didn't think it was a big deal. In her mind, it wasn't like we wouldn't have time together, just that we'd have some extra fun with her friends. But when we got to Hawaii, things didn't go as she thought they would. I kept trying to pull her away, to spend time alone, but she was having too much fun. Snorkeling, hitting the beach, laughing with her friends over drinks. It was everything she had wanted. Meanwhile, I was growing more and more upset, feeling like I was being left behind. But she didn't see it that way. She didn't think it was that big of a deal. When I finally told her I was leaving, she was shocked. She hadn't expected me to react that way. Sure, she and her friends were mad at first. They were pissed off that I'd ruined the mood, that I was being such a jerk for leaving. But after I was gone, they moved on quickly. They even met some new guys and had a blast without me. To her, it was just harmless fun. And when she got back, she figured I'd already be over it, that everything would go back to normal like it always did. But when I saw her again, I knew things couldn't go back to the way they were. She showed up, smiling, excited, probably thinking that we were going to patch things up. And of course, her friends were there too, just like always, chatting and laughing like this was their night as well. I should have seen it coming. We sat down at dinner, and I placed the ring box on the table. I noticed the way her eyes lit up, how she nudged her friends, whispering and giggling. They couldn't keep their hands off the box, passing it around like it was some kind of toy. Then the comments started. Jenny had the nerve to say, "Oh, the diamond's kind of small, don't you think? Nora deserves something bigger." Kathy chimed in, "Yeah, she definitely deserves more. This doesn't really scream forever, does it?" I could feel my blood boiling. This ring, this proposal, it was supposed to be a special moment between Nora and me. And now, it had been reduced to a joke, something for her friends to critique and laugh about. After dinner, when the plates had been cleared away and the chatter had died down, I took a deep breath, held the ring box in my hand, and looked straight at Nora. "Nora," I began, my voice steady but firm. "I had planned on proposing to you. I planned everything out. The perfect moment in Hawaii. Just the two of us." Her smile faltered, and I could see confusion flicker across her face. "But you ruined everything," I continued. "You invited your friends to a trip that was supposed to be for us. You didn't care how much it meant to me, how much I had put into it. All you cared about was having a good time with them." Her face fell, and she glanced at her friends, unsure of how to respond. "You've missed the bus," I said sharply. "You've shown me what your priorities really are. You don't want a relationship with me. You want to be with your friends." Her eyes widened in disbelief, but I wasn't finished. "Even tonight, you couldn't come here alone. You had to bring them along like this is some kind of group event. But I'm done with that. I'm a one-woman guy, and I'm not sharing you with your whole entourage. The table fell silent. Her friends exchanged awkward glances, clearly uncomfortable. Nora tried to laugh it off. "Come on, Jerry," she said, her voice unsteady. "You know they're just here to help. We're all close." I shook my head. "I don't care," I said, cutting her off. "If you want to be with them so badly, go ahead. Marry them. Live happily ever after. But I'm done being an afterthought." Her friends looked down at their plates. The tension thick in the air. I called the waiter over, handed him some cash, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "I'm paying for what I ordered. Just mine. Keep the change." He nodded, though he looked confused. I slipped the ring box back into my pocket. "Enjoy the rest of your evening, ladies," I said, my voice calm but final. "I'm out." Without looking back, I stood up and walked out of the restaurant, leaving them all behind, stunned and silent. That was it. I was done. No more going along with what Nora wanted. No more being the one left out. I was finished being an afterthought in my own life.